Today we're taking a look at a blast from the not too distant past, Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Canelo Alvarez, and I'm going to be going over the skills Mayweather used to school the younger, heavier Canelo Alvarez, as well as how you could use them in your own boxing. This fight was a perfect example of size and strength isn't everything in a fight. As you can see, Canelo had 15 pounds on Floyd the night of the fight and is much younger than Floyd, although probably too young admittedly at this point. But for those of you who wouldn't stop crying that Lomachenko had 7 pounds on Guillermo Rigondeaux when they fought, may this fight serve as a reminder that fighting comes down more to skill and strategy.
Teach another painful lesson in the art of boxing. The run has begun. I have been in a lot of arenas.
So this is actually very important, that from the very start of the fight, at the opening bell, Mayweather comes out aggressive and immediately takes the fight to Canelo as soon as the fight starts. Even before the bell rang, he was halfway to the center of the ring. When the bell rang, he aggressively took control of the center of the ring, and was so aggressive he didn't just stop there, he kept stepping forward, backing Canelo up close to the ropes. Now, why is such a minor detail at the start of the first round so important? Well, everyone and their mom knew going in that Canelo wasn't going to win by outboxing Floyd Mayweather. His best chance was bullying Floyd around, using his size and strength, and making it ugly. Of course, at this time, Canelo wasn't the pressure monster that he is today, but even still, this decision from Mayweather demands respect from Canelo. If Canelo was going into this planning to brawl, this aggression from Mayweather offsets that strategy from Canelo, makes Canelo think, wow, I wasn't expecting that, causes him to respect him, and before you know it, the pace is dictated by Mayweather. As you can see, Floyd even throws the first punch as if to say, I'm not scared of you, bitch.
Well, both are fainting a lot. And the body by Alvarez. Remember? More Canelo out. The body followed by the left to the sternum area. Canelo just misses with the right.
Okay, so the first skill we're going over is Floyd Mayweather's not-so-secret weapon, which is the jab to the body. This punch is so important to Floyd's arsenal and should be in your arsenal because it is generally an easy, safe way to score points. Look at this position Floyd is in. He doesn't shoot down at the body, leaving his chin wide open. He steps into the punch with his lead foot, which causes his whole body to lower to the level of his target, which is Canelo's body. This is important because his head becomes a lot more difficult to hit when it's suddenly lowered, and his chin is still tucked in behind his shoulder of his jabbing hand. This lowering of his level also allows him to punch in a straight line as opposed to punching down, which gives the punch more power. And lastly, Floyd's target is the solar plexus, and this constant poking of the solar plexus serves to wear down his opponents round by round, depleting their oxygen by the time the championship rounds come. And of course he understands that in a high level of boxing, a counterpunch is likely to come, so he remains defensively responsible by stepping out of range. And of course Floyd can mix this up by jabbing to the head as well, and then always remaining defensively responsible by stepping out of range to step away from Canelo's counters, and then jabbing to the body again, doing the same thing over and over.
Likens left, doing his best to do just that, but again, Likens left, doing his best to do just that, but again, Likens left, doing his best to do just that, but again.
Okay, so Mayweather is actually trying to set up his infamous pull counter at this moment. You know, that move we've seen him pull countless times, no pun intended. Notice they're both kind of just staring at each other. Well, Mayweather is standing just outside of Canelo's punching range and slightly leaning his head in to make it look like he's in range for a jab. He does this so that he could pull his head back to his normal stance as soon as the jab comes and counter over the top with the right hand. However, Canelo smartly notices this setup from Floyd and doesn't take the bait. Floyd is hell-bent on landing a counter right now, so what's his plan B? So we see Floyd taps Canelo with the jab to bait out a counter right hand that he could counter. Since Floyd baited out the right hand counter from Canelo, he already knows it's coming, so he doesn't even have to react to the punch. He automatically steps away from it and counters over the exposed side with the left hook. The best counterpunchers set up their counters with traps. I always say you don't need amazing reflexes to be a good counterpuncher. And so the pull counter is Floyd's way of dissuading his opponents from throwing jabs at him. That way he can establish his jab game to the body and to the head, and then when his opponents try to jab him back, he ends up doing the pull counter to make them think twice about doing that. So he ends up dictating the pace that way. But Canelo did a good job in this fight of not following for this pull counter. However, Floyd always has his plan B, C, D, and so on.
Percolating here between Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez.
Referring back to my video from a few days ago on Floyd Mayweather's forearm control, here he is doing the same thing to Canelo. If you missed that video, I linked it in the description. We see here that Floyd is launching a huge straight right hand and is following through all the way to the point of falling in with it. We're taught not to do this because you're basically asking to be countered as you fall in. So how is Mayweather able to get away with such a rookie mistake? As you can see, right after he throws the punch, the follow-through acts to smother Canelo so he could clinch him to prevent a counter. Remember that distance is always your first line of defense. You can either be too far or too close to be punched, and Floyd shows the ability to defend himself by stepping in and stepping out.
Effectively, straight right hand.
They're getting more comfortable. They're about 6 inches.
And counter right, low by Canelo. Canelo sticks the jab and the right hand and showing some of his defensive acumen. There's a Mayweather with the jab, sticks the right hand, and there's a counter.
Okay, so let's talk about Floyd Mayweather's Philly shell defense for a second. I think after the fight, I heard somewhere that one of Canelo's strategy was to deaden Floyd's lead arm by punching it. And if that's true, I think that might be the dumbest boxing strategy I've ever heard. The Philly shell is designed with the purpose of rolling the straight right hand with the shoulder if the punch is directed to your head, and with the arm if directed to your body. I use this defense, and I can tell you not once has a punch to my arm hurt, especially if I rolled with the punch. So we see Floyd's lead arm is held low and directly in line with Canelo's right hand. The low lead hand baits out the exact punch it is designed to counter, which is the straight right hand. If Floyd sees the right hand coming, he transitions his weight to his back foot to pull his shoulder up and rolls the punch off the shoulder. If directed at his body, it's protected by his arm, and he can roll the punch the same way. And we see by rolling the punch with his shoulder, it simultaneously loads him up to come back with a right hand counter on the overextended opponent.
Generation. That's why it's 6-1 in rounds on my generation. That's why it's 6-1 in rounds on my generation. That's why it's 6-1 in rounds on my.
So this is probably the most impressive thing Floyd did in this entire fight. You could counter a punch before, during, or after the punch, and Floyd does all three to counter Canelo's jab. So we see here Floyd counters Canelo's jab before the punch with his own jab. Notice he slips his head to the inside as he does this. Then we see him counter with his right hand during the punch, and then we see him counter after the punch with another jab, and stays defensively responsible by pulling away to avoid the counter coming back from Canelo. This is something that can only be done once you've gotten a feeling for your opponent's timing down. As you can see, Floyd countered a single jab 3 times at once. And so the last thing I wanted to talk about for this fight is that Floyd found a lot of his offense from his non-rhythmic movement. See, what makes Floyd Mayweather unique is this non-rhythmic movement. What you normally see with beginner fighters is they learn to set up their offense by moving at a set rhythm. Advanced fighters will learn to move at a set rhythm and then set their offense by breaking that rhythm into a different rhythm. Floyd takes it to a whole new level and moves at an irregular rhythm, mixing in feints so that his opponents never get his timing down. Look at how Floyd is able to surprise Canelo with a jab. This is because he is moving in a way that doesn't allow Canelo to predict when he's going to throw. He even takes it up a level by mixing in subtle feints and pops a jab when he sees Canelo isn't reactive to them.
beautifully delivered by Mayweather.
What's intriguing about this fight is Mayweather is not...
And that's going to do it for this video. As always, thank you everybody for watching. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thank you all for watching.
But fuck it, it's all in due time. I turn the blood to a road to dreams of being a beagle. Don't want to, I need to. You gotta learn to keep it so equal. When you come up in a place where everyone got a piece but ain't peaceful, this is just part one. Wait till the sequel.